Virtualization support. Virtualization support is a powerful hardware-level feature controlled directly within the UEFI firmware that allows a single physical processor to act as multiple independent virtual processors. For a hardware technician, understanding and enabling this setting is the mandatory first step before building a hypervisor, setting up a server rack, or experimenting with isolated operating systems. The hardware hypervisor link. To run a virtual machine, which is essentially a complete computer system running as a software program inside your main computer, you use a specialized piece of software called a hypervisor, such as VMware, VirtualBox, or Microsoft Hyper-V. Without hardware virtualization support enabled in the firmware, these hypervisors are forced to rely on slow, inefficient software emulation to translate instructions between the virtual machine and the physical processor. By enabling this UEFI setting, the motherboard opens a direct, high-speed hardware pathway, allowing the virtual machines to run at near-native speeds by directly accessing the physical CPU cores and system memory. Brand-specific terminology, Intel versus AMD. When navigating the advanced menus of the firmware to enable this feature, a technician must know exactly what to look for, as the two major processor manufacturers use completely different terminology for the exact same technology. Intel systems. Look for a setting labeled Intel Virtualization Technology, which is frequently abbreviated as Intel VTX sometimes. It is simply listed as Virtualization Technology. AMD systems. The setting is officially known as AMD Virtualization, or AMDV. However, inside modern motherboard firmware, it is most commonly listed under the Advanced CPU Configuration tab as SVM mode, which stands for Secure Virtual Machine. The disabled by default troubleshooting hurdle. One of the most common help desk tickets a technician will encounter involves a user attempting to start a brand new virtual machine and immediately receiving a cryptic error message stating that hardware acceleration is not available or VTX is disabled in the host BIOS. Historically, many consumer motherboard manufacturers ship their boards with virtualization completely disabled by default. This was a security precaution designed to prevent a highly specific and dangerous type of malware, known as a hypervisor rootkit, from secretly installing itself below the operating system. If a user runs into a virtualization error, the absolute first troubleshooting step is to restart the computer, enter the UEFI interface, and flip the virtualization toggle to enabled. Modern uses beyond traditional virtual machines. While virtualization was once strictly the domain of enterprise servers and complex data centers, it is now an essential feature for everyday computer use. Modern technicians and developers rely heavily on hardware virtualization for everyday tools. For example, running isolated Docker containers for software testing, utilizing the Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL, to run open-source code natively inside Windows, and even utilizing Microsoft's built-in memory integrity security features all require this single UEFI setting to be turned on.